Well, a pro-Arewa group has warned the APC to desist from endorsing proxy candidates nominated by the governors of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, and Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, for the leadership positions in the National Assembly. The coalition of northern groups is also calling on the president-elect Bola Tinubu to display statesmanship by immediately urging the APC to reverse the zoning arrangement announced by the National Working Committee so as to avoid defeat on the floor of the Senate and House of Representatives.
Any attempt to hoist a National Assembly leadership on the nation by resorting to draconian, Machiavellian, undemocratic and unconstitutional means is downright repugnant to the collective sensibilities of Nigerians, blatant disrespect for constitutionalism, disregard for rules of fairness and ordinary decency, and therefore unacceptable and will be roundly resisted. Number two, to emphatically call on the leadership of the APC to reclaim its statesmanship by immediately reversing the decision on Akpabio and Abbas and setting the stage for the emergence of a credible National Assembly leadership through democratic elections by its members as enshrined in our Constitution. Number three, to call the attention of the incoming president to watch his back and guard against entrenched Judases who are bent on pitching him against democracy, against popular national will, and against such regions as the North that made massive sacrifices to keep the nation united and push it past a critical turning point by working to ensure his victory at the February presidential vote. To likewise urge aspirants to the position of the House of Representative Speaker, such as Betara, Wase, Dogwa, and the rest from all sections of the country to insist on a transparent and democratic emergence of leaders of the House.
All right, we're being joined now by politics editor Sumner Sambo. Sumner, good to see you.
Thank you so much.
The drama just does not cease. I mean, and we're hearing all kinds of things like the incoming president should watch his back. Tajuddin Abbas is not known to many House of Reps members. And the biggest of them all, which, I mean, really caught my attention, the national security issue, that whoever emerges, or the emergence of the leadership of the National Assembly is a national security issue. What do you make of all of these statements?
Those are just politicians trying to make capital out of, whatever they said. I mean, if Sada Soli himself or Ahmad Wase or Yusuf Gagdi were the ones that were endorsed to be, the favorite candidates, would they be saying this? But there are concerns, and I really feel their pains. Many of them have gone out of their ways to actually serve the All Progressives Congress in the National Assembly, especially Wase, seeing, despite several controversies that have happened, they've stuck to the APC at very tough times, only for periods like this to come up, just when they think that they'll be rewarded for all their efforts, and suddenly the APC settles for Tajuddin Abbas. Now, Tajuddin Abbas is actually being settled for here because of the internal dynamics of the politics of the Northwest. If you go to how Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of the outgoing governor of Kaduna State, has been very helpful to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, especially in the times of the Naira swap issue and all of that. He stuck out his neck.
He did.
And so the thinking from his own camp is that he doesn't want any other position. He had said it previously that if he would be given this speakership position, if it's actually brought to his doorstep by having one of his lieutenants, imagine a speaker, that would be enough for him, because the thinking had been that they may likely give him SGF or something other than that. But Nasir El-Rufai saying that he doesn't want to be in government, but he could actually serve as an advisor. Right. So now, how is the president-elect going to actually, pay him back for all that he has done? That's why I say, but the North Central senators and the North Central House of Rep members are kicking very hard. Because if you look at the figures we've had from the outcome of the election, apart from the Northwest that gave more votes, based on research, the North Central had more states that gave more votes.
4 out of 6.
Yeah, 4 out of 6. And so they are saying that, look, we should be considered. And then you see someone like Betara, who comes from the same geopolitical zone with Shetima, and the talk is that, okay, why do you want the Speaker of the House of Reps when the Vice President-elect comes from your zone? Well, the other ones to tell him, please just step aside. But the ones that are really aggrieved are saying that, look, the Northwest, even if it's going to be given a position, a leadership position in the National Assembly, should have 1 and not 2.
Exactly, because as it stands right now, going by this list, the Deputy Senate President also will come from the Northwest. But you know what, Sumner, let's look at the fact that, you know, Governor Akeredolu is saying that the progressive governors were not carried along. The fact that we know how influential the governors are with regards to members of the National Assembly, and marry that with, of course, the fear of tambuwalization and dogarization.
Or dogarization, if you
Put that
like.
together. Talk to us, can the APC really afford a rebellion at this time? And what are the implications, really?
They can't afford it, but I can tell you clearly, even the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Abdullah Adamu, knows that on the day of proclamation, these candidates may not scale through, because he's been there himself. He's tried to actually seek for Senate presidency himself, and he knows what happened. And he eventually had to be compensated with the position of Chairman Senate Committee on Agriculture by Saraki after the rebellion, before they later formed what was called the Parliamentary Support Group, with himself as chairman and then Omo Agege as deputy chairman, to support President Buhari when he had a fallout with Bukola Saraki himself. Now, these are the intrigues that happen. Like you are having the Deputy Senate President going to the Northwest, which these people are complaining. You see that the complaint by Akeredolu actually goes to say that it's only some people, some influential governors that are close to President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu that are pulling the strings. That's why you see the opposition coming from several places.
It sounds like what Akeredolu is saying is that there's a cabal brewing around Tinubu.
Yeah, I mean, you would have seen Ganduje following Bola Ahmed Tinubu everywhere. Do you think he's following him just for fun? Well, these are part of the things. He's been ceded that position to produce the Deputy Senate President, and his ally, Jibrin Barrow, has been brought forward. Just like Nasser El-Rufai is having his ally, being given. But the thing is that if they are not careful with this game that they are going on with, at the end of the day, most of these preferred candidates may not eventually become the consensus candidates of the lawmakers themselves. And so on the day of the proclamation, we'll have the tamborization and then, of course, the dogarization you're talking about. Because in 2011, Mulikat Akonde was the preferred candidate by the party, but Tambuwal went ahead with support from ACN members and then with the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to defeat Mulikat Akonde, who was nominated by the PDP as the preferred consensus candidate. In 2015, we had Dogara. Dogara defeated Femi Gbajabiamila despite how close they were. Now, Tambuwal was the one who supported Dogara, against what many had thought, that his support will go to Gbajabiamila because Bola Ahmed Tinubu helped him out in 2011. So that's politics, backstabbing here and there.
In other words, just like it's been stated here a number of times, I mean, it could be a deja vu brewing here. But let's even talk about the baggage or otherwise that some of these names actually bring to the table and how it will affect their chances to start with. I mean, you have, for the Senate presidency, for example, about 3 of them or more have corruption cases around their necks. How much of a burden will that be for
that's
the
why
APC?
You haven't heard
How much of a cul-de-sac does the APC find itself?
Yes, I mean, it's a serious cul-de-sac, actually, because that's why you've seen that the opposition in the Senate is a little bit, quiet.
Tempered.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the sea. When you see the sea just being quiet, that's the most dangerous period. So many of them actually have challenges with the EFCC and all of that, including the person who has been nominated right now. But nonetheless, the people want to exercise their will on the day of the election. And that's why you see that a lot of these people are saying that they are feeling betrayed. Look at Yusuf Gagdi saying that He feels betrayed because they've done all that they can to prevent all of these things from happening, from the opposition coming together to form an alliance. Don't forget, in the Senate, for example, APC only has 59 senators.
Right.
And then you have the opposition teaming up together with about 50. And then in the House too. So that clear dominance is not there. In 2015, what happened? You could see that Yakubu Dogara forged an alliance at the last minute with the PDP. And of course, we could see the results. So when you see these House members going to Abdullah Adamu to speak with him, and the North Central lawmakers, federal lawmakers, pushing their position, they're actually right. Because North Central doesn't seem to be having much. But people will say they have the party leadership. But some people will tell you that the party leadership is different from the National Assembly leadership. So, but there's need for continuous engagement.
Well, of course,
the Nigerian people must not suffer in the hands of APC while we try to get a leadership. Because in all, both the contenders must understand that whatever leadership that must come out of the National Assembly leadership election must be a leadership that will serve the Nigerian people,
and
so that we don't have another
fairness and justice must have been seen to be done. Because
and the president-elect has a critical role to play. He has just done this and flown out of the country so that people will not disturb him. But I can tell you that the negotiations will have to continue up until June 13. If not, it will be a difficult day for all of them.
The chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adamu, has said, his promised consultations will definitely continue.
Yeah, they have to give and take, exchange more positions, ministerial positions here and there. Because if they don't do that, I'm telling you, on that day, governors usually go there to do the last minute pulling of strings with the national chairman and caucus, but they will be there at the gallery watching these people betraying
and we know how
the party. I mean, it was a very terrible situation in 2011 and 2015.
Arise News political editor. We can go on and on and on with you, but Sumner Sambo, Arise political editor as well as news director, we say thank you for joining us.